I recently test drove the Tesla Model Y, and although I loved it and I will get one eventually, it won't be any time soon, and it's not because of the cost. In fact, now, if any time, is the best time to get rid of my Tesla Model 3 because it's held its value amazingly well. So if it's not the cost, what is the reason that I'm holding off, and should you be doing the same? That's what we'll be looking at in this video. So before I go on to the reasons why I'm not getting a Model Y, I thought it'd be important to explain the reasons why I am. Because my Tesla Model 3 is only 2.5 years old, so it kind of doesn't make sense why I'd change it so quick. But it will help put it all into context, and most of it stems around the issues I've had with my Model 3. So the first reason is that in September, my Model 3 is coming up for 3 years old and it's going to need an MOT. And I don't like the idea of having to hand my car in for a day, lose it for a day and pay a nominal fee. Don't get me wrong, it's not enough to justify paying 15 grand extra for, but it's just an inconvenience I don't want to have to deal with. The second reason is more significant, and this is to do with the paint on my Model 3. When the Model 3 came out in the UK, Tesla's paint jobs weren't the best. And this was mainly because they were ramping up manufacturing and they weren't letting the paint cure for long enough. So it was actually quite soft, and there was lots of reports about paint defects. Now, the paint on my Model 3 has been absolutely fine, but I do worry that in the future it might become more of an issue. So again, I'm kind of thinking, let's move on, because the paint jobs on Teslas now are, compared to the mainstream manufacturers, and sometimes actually better. The next reason is the range. And although the range on mine is absolutely fine and it's never caused me any problems, those that watch my videos regularly will know that I've always regretted not getting a Tesla Model 3 long range. And I know the majority of the time that I'll be lugging around a battery that I'm not using, but I just like to have my options open. And it's a bit like I don't need an iPhone Pro. A normal iPhone would have done absolutely fine, but I'm that kind of guy that likes stuff just in case. And I feel the longer range battery would just suit me a little bit better, just in case I wanted to drive 4 hours straight without stopping, as if my bladder's going to last that long anyway. And then the final reason is I feel this Tesla Model 3 was Tesla's first attempt, and since then they've made lots of little minor tweaks which just make sense. So for example, they've put the Sentry Mode SD card into the glove box where thieves, if they do break in, they can't access it. They've added wireless phone charging, USB-C ports, which future-proofs the car a little bit, and also just a tiny little thing, they've put how to open the doors on the door handle, so it's a little door logo now, which makes way more sense than just a straight line, because I still have to tell people how to get out of my Model 3. Again, all easily resolved, I know, but it's an accumulation of all these things that are swaying me into buying a Model Y. So from all of that, you might think I'll be placing my order imminently, but honestly, I won't be placing it for several months to come. And I'd be interested to see if other people are feeling the same. Other things that convinced me to buy a Model Y are the fact that the batteries are becoming cheaper. And rather than making the Model Y cheaper itself, Tesla keep adding value. So for example, they added a heat pump to make it better efficiency in winter and get longer range. They've added double glazing for soundproofing. They've added LED matrix lights and also a power boot. All things that make the current Model Y and Model 3 that little bit more desirable, and stuff my 2019 Model 3 doesn't have. Another reason is I've never really liked the saloon in my Model 3. All my previous cars to this were hatchbacks, and I enjoyed the access that a hatchback gives you. The Model Y will return that for me. Another reason is that you get 4x4 as standard currently on the Model Y, so that's going to be a little bit more reliable and safer in winter. Although having said that, I do think the Model 3 handled itself exceptionally well in the snow, considering it's rear-wheel drive. But I think that's normal for electric cars because they've got such control over the instant torque that they can put through to the wheels. And then the final reason is that little slightly higher ride height that you get, and it gives you a different perspective when you're out driving on the road. I've never had an SUV and I've always fancied one, so that'd be a really nice little treat for me. So I get all these things are really small, but if I don't get a Model Y, these things are going to niggle away at me for years to come. And I could upgrade to a Model 3, yes, but the issue with that is it won't tick all the boxes like the hatchback and the higher ride height. So you're probably thinking I'm pretty sold on the Model Y, and what could possibly be my reasons for holding off? Well, there's 4 of them. And the first one is the 4680 battery. And actually there's 3 sub-reasons to that, so you could argue there's 7 reasons in total. For those that don't know, Tesla announced they've got a new battery design about 18 months ago now, which was going to increase range and reduce the cost significantly. And if Tesla follow their previous pattern, they'll add value to the Model Y and not reduce the cost. So I'm hoping they actually add a powered frunk this time around, because it's a space I really want to use, but I never use it because I don't want to get my hands dirty or leave fingerprints all over the bonnet. And who knows what other value items Tesla might add. With the fact that Audi, BMW, Mercedes are all kind of catching them up a little bit, it could bring some nice surprises which we're not expecting. So that's the first reason. The next reason is the 4680 battery is going to increase the range. Now, Tesla might decide that they are actually going to reduce the cost and just put less batteries in the vehicle, but it really surprises me if they don't give it a significant range bump in the process. If they could get the Model Y to go over 400 miles, it'd make me super happy. It's currently at 351 miles, and they said these new batteries could increase range up to 16%, so it's well within the 400 mile mark. And that would mean that I could drive all the way down to the southwest coast without stopping once and keep it in the sweet spot of 20 to 90% charge. Or I could drive to the beach and back without having to use any public chargers. It'd be a pretty big game changer, that. The final reason related to the 4680 battery is the supercharging capability, because it's tabless design, and it's said to have no taper or very minimal taper compared to current charging profiles, which means a quick stop of say 10 minutes at a V4 350 kilowatt supercharger, which is rumoured to be in the pipeline, will add hundreds of miles of charge, which will remove any inconvenience whatsoever of supercharging in public, because 10 minutes is just going to fly by. The 4680 battery, as I said, is going to be a game changer, and currently there's no plans to start production with it in Berlin. In fact, Tesla confirmed that the structural battery packs are going to be the older style batteries to start with. The only factory that's going to start using them is Gigafactory Texas, which should see production start very soon. And I just have a feeling that Tesla will hide the full potential of these batteries until all vehicles have them, and then unlock it via a software update. Otherwise, you're going to get people like me holding off buying Teslas until they can get the newer battery design. The other reason I'm waiting, and this isn't going to be a deal breaker, because to be fair, as soon as the 4680 battery comes out, I'm putting my ordering straight away, but is the fact that hardware 4 is rumoured to be in the pipeline. It was meant to be coming out with the Cybertruck in 2022, but with the ever slipping production timelines with the Cybertruck, it's now been pushed into 2023. It does make me wonder whether they'll bring hardware 4 out with all the other fleet first. It was rumoured to have gone into mass production in the last quarter of 2021. Elon's commented that hardware 3 is perfectly capable of full self-driving and will make the average Tesla like 300% safer than a human. But he also said that hardware 4 would make it, say, 1,000 times safer than a human. Now, he's clearly pulled these figures out of thin air, but you get the point. It will be safer. So although hardware 3 is sufficient, and it won't make much of a difference to me either way, I kind of figured by waiting for a few months and maybe getting hardware 4, there's going to be some benefits, whether that's higher resolution cameras or, as Elon said, just a safer, faster, full self-driving version. It's probably just worth waiting and seeing what the latter end of 2022 has for us in the way of computer chips. On that note, Tesla introduced a PlayStation 5 level gaming chip with the Tesla Model S, which means it's capable of playing console level games. And Elon recently commented that he was thinking of bringing the Steam platform to the Model S to enable way more games to be able to play on it. Well, with the ever-reducing cost of the Model Y and the Model 3, I kind of think there might be a chance that they'll bring this gaming level chip to those cars, which would be awesome, especially as Tesla probably have long-term plans to make a revenue stream out of an app or a game store. The final reason is a conversation that Elon had with Sandy Munro on YouTube, and it was about production and defects. And he basically said that he would never buy a Tesla during a production ramp because of the defects that you can get. And obviously Berlin is due to start production in the next month or so, so any orders going in now are probably going to fall within this production ramp. Again, it's not a deal breaker because, let's be honest, a production ramp could happen at any time and I could fall into that window. But by waiting a few months, I'm going to at least definitely miss that first ramp that happens in Berlin. I get everyone's situation is completely different, so would I be waiting if this was my first ever Tesla? And the answer is probably not, because like iPhones and lots of other tech, they always get upgraded every single year, and you'd be waiting forever for that perfect product. I'm lucky enough to already own a Tesla, and I'm more than happy with mine at the minute, so I'm just waiting until all those upgrades come along to make it significantly different enough from my Model 3 to justify the expense. I don't know, I'd love to know your thoughts on this though. Am I crazy for waiting? Am I crazy for upgrading? I don't know, if you think I'm crazy, give it a thumbs up. That's all for this week, thanks for watching, I'll see you soon.